Hi soulmates, you're welcome to my channel. My name is TECLAR and in today's tutorial I will be showing you how to make a perfect fit blazer jacket, and this is a professional method of achieving a blazer, and after this tutorial you will not have an issue making a blazer jacket again. So if this sounds like something that you like to learn, go ahead now, like this video, subscribe to this channel, and remember to turn on your notification bell so that you, my precious one, will be the very first person to know any day and anytime we upload a new tutorial. And this is a 7-part series of our tutorial. I will urge you to open your mind to this tutorial because it's a very detailed tutorial and it is a professional method of achieving your blazer jacket. So for this particular tutorial, I have gone ahead to mark out my vertical measurements. So I have my starting line, which is where I'll mark my shoulder. Then I have it up to my bust point and then to my waist and my full length. The full length I'm using for this blazer is about 26 inches because I don't want it to be long. I just want it to stop at my hip. Now you can decide to make yours longer. You can decide to make it maybe 28 or 30 depending on how long you want it to be, but for me 26 is okay. And this particular pattern is our back pattern. So right now let's dive into the class proper. So follow me and let's go. So I have marked the shoulder. The shoulder I am working with is 8 inches. I've gone ahead to mark that. Then on my bust point, I came up by 2 inches for my armhole line or my chest line. Depending on the measurement you are working with, if you are working for a size 8, size 10, you can decide to come up by 1.5. But for me, I do come up by 2 because that is what works for a size 12 measurement. So on my shoulder, I marked 3 inches. The neck width I'll be using is 3 inches, right? Then for my shoulder slope, I am going to mark 1 inch and then bring it down. And remember that this particular place that we are measuring now is the back pattern. So I went ahead to now connect my shoulder slope, and from there you are now going to divide your nipple to nipple divided by 2. Mine is 8. The nipple to nipple I'm working with, which is my bust span, is 8 inches. So I divided it by 2 to get 4 inches. So I'm just going to go ahead to connect that. And on this line, we are going to take our dart line, right? So for the back of this blazer, I am going to take half inch on both sides of the blazer. And this is going to help to contour the waist part of the blazer, right? So from that place, I'm just going to come down by about 1/4 inch from my bust point, and I am going to go ahead to now connect it to that particular place. So I'll connect the 2 lines like that. So by this way we have taken our waist dart, and then I am going to go ahead to extend it to my full length. On my full length, I'm going to come up by 3 inches, right? And from that 3 inches, I'll now connect my dart leg to meet there. So if this is the first time you are coming to my channel, my name is TECLAR FASHION, and on this channel we share tutorials on sewing, fashion business tips, and we also have a WhatsApp community of tailors that you can join. So I will leave my WhatsApp link in the comments and you can just click the link to join other tailors like you. We have a community where we share insights that you might want to learn, and it is a free group, so you can practically join. So now that our dart is set, I am now going to impute my bust. The reason why I'm doing that is that it is going to serve as a guide for me. So the bust I am working with is 40 inches, and I'm just going to go ahead to divide it by 4 to give me 10 inches. So I marked the 10 inches on my bust point, and that line that is above my bust point is actually my chest line or my armhole line, whichever way you choose to call it. Then on my waist, I marked my waist, and then I added back the 1 inch dart that we took. You remember that we took out 1 inch for that, so I also added that back. Then on my hip line, on my full length, what I marked there is my hip line. Remember that I told you that this jacket is going to stop at my hip line. So I just measured from my shoulder to my hip line, and then that is what I have there. So on that full length, I just marked my round hip. Now that you have marked down your basic body measurements, this is where you now decide how you want your jacket to be. Do you want it to be a free jacket? Do you want it to be a tight jacket? How do you want it to be? So for me, because most times when you wear blazer, you tend to wear another thing inside, I am going to add a little bit of ease to it. Kindly note that this ease that I am adding now is not the seam allowance. It is not serving as your seam allowance, right? So on the bust point I added 3/4 of an inch, on the chest line I added 3/4 of an inch, and on the waist I also added 3/4 of an inch. Then on my full length, because I want this to be a little bit like a line at the hemline, I did not add 3/4 of an inch. Rather, I added extra 1.5 inches on the full length. Reason being that I want it to be a little bit a line on the hip. I don't want it to hold me on the hip, right? And that is how I want mine to be. If you don't want yours to be like that, just go ahead to add the extra 3/4 of an inch for ease. Now, if you want this blazer to be big, you can go ahead to add extra 1 inch, 1.5 inches, depending on how you want to wear it. Now, in order to blend in the side of my hip, I came up by 1 inch and then I blended it into my dart leg so that the side of my hip can be able to be a little bit slanted, right? So you can see the way I've taken this out and everything is clear. So right now, I am now going to work on the up part of my back pattern. So for the neckline, I am going to come down by 1 inch for my neck depth. So for me, I'm using 1 inch. You can use 1.5, but I will encourage you to use just 1 inch because it will work perfectly well for you, right? So now that we have our neckline, we are now going to move over to the armhole side. Now, you know that this is a blazer jacket, and most blazers, they normally add a shoulder pad to it, right? So we are now going to go ahead to create the allowance for that shoulder pad. So on my shoulder slope, I am going to come out by 1/4 of an inch, right? And that place that I came out by 1/4 of an inch, I am also going to come up by 1/4 of an inch. Please kindly note that. So you come out on your shoulder slope by 1/4 of an inch and you go up by 1/4 of an inch. Then you now reconnect the line. This is now your new shoulder slope. This is the shoulder slope that you now work with, right? Then because I don't want it to hold me on my armhole, I decided to come down by 1/2 an inch. You can also decide to just mark it on your armhole line, but in order for it to be more structured and more fitted, and remember that this is a professional method, it is not a freehand method, I will advise you to go ahead to come down by 1/2 an inch, and then I just went ahead to connect that. So guys, have you watched up to this moment? Go ahead now to subscribe to this channel, because if you don't subscribe, you might not get to see us again. And we have so many amazing tutorials on the channel. You can check out our corset tutorials and our intermediate tutorials, advanced tutorial. In fact, we have so many very impactful tutorials on the channel, so you can just go ahead to check the videos right after this one and you are going to learn a lot, right? So on my armhole, I just divided it by 2 and then I marked that up, and because this is the back pattern, I just went ahead to take out the curve that was showing there, because there's no bust on your back, so you definitely don't want that place to be curved. So what I did is that I just took out that particular side so that it will not have any curve at all, and it will just be kind of straight and standing, right? So now I am going to go ahead to cut it out, and please remember that when you are cutting on the new shoulder slope that you have. Then because I also want this blazer to be fitted at the waistline, I am going to go in by 1/2 inch on the waist part, right? Can you see that? And then I am also going to slant it all the way above my bust point and then pointing close to my full length. The reason why we are doing this is that your back is kind of curved. So that particular place that entered inside, we are trying to make the jacket to lap on that side, right? So that is the reason why I am taking out that 1/2 inch on the center back of my pattern, so that it doesn't look like a balloon at that part. Let it curve the same way your back is curved. So right now I am going to go ahead to cut this out, and then we'll head over to the front. So guys, our online classes is still ongoing. We have classes on corsets, and then we also have classes on bustier. We also have a fashion business course, which so many of you have already taken the course. And if you are running an active business, if you are a tailor and your business is active, you definitely need to join our corset class, and also our fashion business course as well. So you definitely need to be there, because we have so many things that we discussed there, and so many of you also asked very nice questions there that will help you to scale your fashion business course, your fashion business. And it is just 5,000 naira to join the class. So you can see what we have for the back. You can see how the back is looking so perfectly drafted. I also forgot to say that if you want the line to go to your shoulder instead of your armhole, just divide your shoulder by 2 and connect it like that. I also have a tutorial on how to draft your blazer with the one that ends at the shoulder. I'm also going to leave the link in the comment or in the description, so that you can watch that particular one as well. Right, so right now follow me and let's move over to the front part. So there are some differences between the back and the front, but we are going to detail everything in this front part. So in order to do the front, I first went ahead to mark out my starting line, and for this starting line I came down by 5 inches from the tip of my paper. Right, so you can see the way I marked that. So I came down by 5 inches, and that 5 inches is going to be our starting line. So right now I want you to pretend that the up part of this pattern paper is not existing, right? So from that place I am now going to mark my vertical measurement, just the same way that I did for the back. I am also going to say that, for you to get your half length, assuming your half length is 17 inches, when I was marking the back, I minused 1, and what I use for my half length on the back is 16 inches. So if your half length is 17, mark 16 inches, whatever is your half length. What I'm just trying to say is that you should minus 1 inch from it, so that the side of your front and the side of your back will be the same thing. I'm still going to tell you the reason why you should do that, but right now let's just focus on the front first. So on the side part of this paper, I also marked another 4 inches on the starting part of my paper, and that 4 inches, just keep it by the side. You can see the way I'm shifting it to tell you that right now we do not need that part. So on that place I came down by 5 inches is now my new shoulder line, so please take note of that. So on that place I will now mark my shoulder measurement, which is 8 inches, right? So I marked down the 8 inches. This is my bust point, my waist, and then my full length. So for this particular blazer we didn't make use of the under bust. So on my bust point I will now come up by 2 inches to get my chest line, right? Just the same way that we did for the back. And this thing that you saw me marking now is my shoulder, because I use it to square my chest line. So that 8 inches that I marked on my shoulder, I just came down again 2 inches above my bust point, and then I marked it, and then I squared my armhole. So that is just a guide for you to know how to square your armhole. Then for the front as well, I am going to mark 3 inches for my neck width. Kindly note that that 3 inches is not at the tip of my pattern paper, it is at the starting line, which is the 4 inches that I came in by, right? So right now for my shoulder slope, I came down by 1 inch, and I just went ahead to connect that together. And remember that this now is the front pattern. So I am also going to go ahead to take out 4 inches on for my nipple to nipple divided by 2. You remember that my nipple to nipple divided by 2 is 4. So that same 4 inches, I went ahead to mark it down all the way from my bust point to my full length. Now on the back part, we took half inch on every side of the waist, on either side of the waist. But on this particular front part, I took out 1/4 of an inch towards the center of my pattern, and then on the other side of my pattern I took out 3/4 of an inch. So both for the front and the back, you are going to take out the same 1 inch, but the only thing with the front is that you are going to take out the 1 inch, leaving 1/4 of an inch on the center part and 3/4 of an inch on the side part. So you can see that I didn't take it half inch on both sides. Please don't forget that, especially for this blazer that we are making, right? Then I also came up by 3 inches from my full length as well, and I just went ahead to connect all of that together. And by this way, we have taken out our first dart, right? So you can see how I am taking it one after the other. So just follow me and let's continue. And if you have not subscribed to this channel at this point, just know that you are not going to see us again. You won't see any tutorials from us again. And we have so many amazing tutorials that are coming, and then the ones that are already on the channel. And I also said that this tutorial is going to be a 7-part series, because we are going to start from this very pattern drafting to the fabric, to the cutting, to the sewing tutorial, to the finishing, to the fitting. Everything is going to be in this video, because I've been getting so many inquiries. Do you have an online class on blades? And I was like, okay, let me just post it on YouTube instead of making it an online class so that everybody can get to watch. So what you are going to do as a way of supporting this channel is that you are going to share this video to your tailoring communities, or to your tailoring friends, or to your WhatsApp, anywhere you have tailors that are interested in watching this tutorial, so that they can learn as well. So once you are done watching, just share this video to your tailoring community so that others can get to watch this as well. So I also marked my busts on the chest line. Remember that the bust we are working with is 10 inches. I also marked it on my bust point, and also I took my waist measurement on the waist. I think the waist I'm working with is 7/3/4, is 7/8/3/4 or 7/3/4. So I marked it down, and then I replaced the 1-inch dart that I took. And then right now I am now doing my extension, my ease. I'm now adding the ease on the jacket because I don't want it to be so tight, right? So now that I've done that, and then I also extended the tip of my shoulder slope just exactly the same way we did for the back. You know, when you look at blazer on the arm side, you will notice that that particular place is structured, is standing because of the shoulder pad, and is also extended. So I also extended that part as well, both on the back and on the front. Do you understand? So I am now going to go ahead to connect my armhole on that part. And also I also came down by that same 1/2 inch that I came down with on the back pattern. I also came down by the same thing on the front as well. So right now I am going to go ahead to divide my armhole by 2, just the same way we did for the back. Now this is the part where I said that if you don't want yours to go to the armhole, you can take it to the shoulder. I have another pattern drafting where I took it to the shoulder. I am going to leave the link either in the description box or in the comments, so you find the link in both places. So you can decide to extend this line to your shoulder slope, divide it by 2. But for this particular blazer, we are extending it on the armhole, because when you are making female blazers, sometimes extending it to the armhole helps it to lap better than extending it on the shoulder part. So now that we are done with the basic borders of this blazer, let's move into the lapel and the collar. So go ahead to like this video and also subscribe to our channel. So for my breaking point, I am going to come out by 1 inch, and this is for my button allowance, and the breaking point is going to be on the waist, which is the break point is where you button it up together. And I'm now going to extend it with 1 inch coming out from the main line that I had initially, so that we'll have like a button allowance. Assuming you are making this as a double-breasted blazer, which is the one that used to have 4 buttons, you know that you are going to use up this allowance that we have. So I'm still going to leave the link to the pattern drafting of the double-breasted blazer in the comments, so that you can watch that one as well and see the difference. Now for my lapel line, I came out by 3/4 inch from the initial neckline that I have. Remember that our neckline initially is 3 inches in width. So from that 3 inches, I also came out by 3/4 inch, and I'm going to go ahead to extend it to my breaking point. Can you see the way I did that? From that place, I want my button to be on the waist. So from that particular place to that place that I came out, to the point where I came out by 3/4 inch, I now connected the line together. Now this is where my lapel is going to fold. You know that part where it now folds and then laps on the other side of the jacket. This is it. So right now I will just extend that line up so that it will serve as a guideline to get our rivel collar. So from that particular place, I just had to zoom it so that you can see it more clearly. I am now going to go outward by 1 inch. Remember that this line that I first extended is going to serve as our guideline, right? So from that place, I had to now go outward by 1 inch. At this point, I was just cross-checking to make sure that you are seeing everything that we are doing. And I'm now going to connect that point back to my neckline. Can you see that this particular line now is on my neckline? So I want you to pay full attention so that you understand everything that I am doing, because this is a professional way of making a blazer. So right now, you are now going to bring your back pattern, and you will now measure the width of the neckline. Like, just measure around the neckline. What I have there is 3.5 inches. So this 3.5 inches, we are now going to mark it on that line that I drafted. Remember that on this red line, this is the part that is going to be attached to the neckline of your back. So you must make sure that the measurement is aligning with your back measurement, right? So at this point, I also came outward by 1/4 inch. The reason why I am coming outward by 1/4 inch is because your back part is curved. So I'm also trying to curve this part so that when I join it to the back, it is actually going to lap very well. So after that, I'll now go ahead to now reconnect it to the tip of my neckline, and with a slanted curve, making sure that the length of that line is 3.5 inch, so that when I join this part to my back, it will lap. Then with that same 3.5 inch that we measured for the back, I would also extend the up part of my rivel collar, and I did that with that same 3.5 inch, right? So I'm just going to extend that to the up part, and you can see that my line is slanted. Don't make the mistake of making yours to be straight. So in order for this video not to be so long, we are going to stop here, and then in the next video we are going to now start from the second part, and then continue this front and then the sleeve and all. So go ahead to subscribe to this channel, and if you have not gotten our pricing strategy, please endeavor to get. So guys, do you want to see the second part? Please tell us in the comments, and see you inside the class. Bye.